If your plants look weak, pale, stunted, or simply stop growing no matter how much you water or fertilize them, most people will tell you the same thing. Your soil is dead. They'll say it's exhausted, depleted, ruined. And the solution they offer is almost always the same: to add more fertilizer, add more nutrients, add something stronger. But what if your soil is dead at you? What if it's suffocating? What if the real problem isn't a lack of nutrients, but a lack of air? And what if the very things you've been adding to fix it are actually making it worse? Soil doesn't usually die overnight. It slowly loses its structure. It slowly loses its pores. It slowly loses its breath. And when soil can't breathe, nothing inside it can survive for long. Not the roots, not the microbes, not the worms, not the fungi that quietly build fertility from below. What looks like dead soil is often soil that has been compressed, sealed, overworked, overwatered, and overloaded with salts. It looks lifeless on the surface. But beneath that hard crust is something that can still recover if you understand what's really happening. To understand suffocating soil, you need to stop thinking of soil as dirt. Dirt is something you sweep away. Soil is a living structure. Healthy soil is roughly half solid particles and half empty space. That empty space matters more than most gardeners realize. Those tiny pores hold air and water. They allow oxygen to reach roots. They allow carbon dioxide to escape. They give microorganisms room to live and move. When those pores collapse, the soil becomes dense. When soil becomes dense, water can't drain properly. When water can't drain, oxygen disappears. And when oxygen disappears, roots begin to struggle. A plant's roots need oxygen just as much as they need water. Without oxygen, roots cannot perform respiration properly. They can't absorb nutrients efficiently. They weaken. They become vulnerable to disease. And the plant above ground starts showing symptoms: yellowing leaves, slow growth, weak stems that look like nutrient deficiency. So what do most people do? They add more fertilizer. But fertilizer cannot fix a breathing problem. In fact, many synthetic fertilizers make compaction worse over time. Salt-based fertilizers draw water in unnatural ways. They can disrupt microbial life. They can reduce organic matter if overused. And when soil biology declines, structure declines with it. Because it's not just minerals that create structure, it's life. Fungi produce glues that bind soil particles into stable aggregates. Bacteria create substances that help particles stick in healthy clusters. Earthworms carve channels that allow air and water to move deeply. When this living network weakens, soil particles collapse into tighter formations. Rain hits harder. Irrigation compacts further. Walking on the garden presses it down even more. Tilling, which many believe helps loosen soil, can actually destroy long-term structure if done repeatedly. At first, tilling feels like it fixes compaction. The soil looks fluffy. It feels soft, but those loosened particles have lost their natural binding networks. Without roots and fungi holding them together, they settle back down even denser than before. Each cycle of heavy tilling breaks more fungal networks, disturbs worm channels, and accelerates structural collapse. Over time, the soil becomes powder when dry and sticky when wet to extremes that both signal poor aggregation. One of the clearest signs of suffocating soil is water behavior. If water pools on the surface instead of soaking in, pores are likely blocked. If water drains instantly and leaves the soil dry beneath the surface, organic matter may be too low to hold moisture properly. If roots grow sideways near the surface instead of penetrating downward, they're searching for oxygen. Another sign is the absence of earthworms. In healthy soil, worms are common because they thrive in oxygen-rich, organic environments. In compacted soil, they disappear. The soil may also develop a pale crust or hard layer just beneath the top inch, a compaction layer that acts like a barrier. And yet, even in this condition, the soil is not dead. It's stressed. It's restricted. It's gasping. The solution is not aggressive intervention. It's restoration of structure. Step 1 is to stop the pressure. Literally. Stop walking on planting beds. Create designated paths. Avoid working soil when it's wet, because wet soil compacts far more easily. If you squeeze a handful of soil and it forms a tight, sticky ball that doesn't crumble, it's too wet to work. Step 2 is to feed the structure, not just the plant. Add organic matter consistently. Compost, shredded leaves, aged manure, chopped plant residues. Organic matter acts like a sponge and a scaffold at the same time. It increases pore space. It encourages microbial growth. It improves aggregation. But the key is surface application, not deep disturbance. Spread compost on top and let worms and microbes incorporate it naturally. This protects existing structure while slowly improving it. Step 3 is aeration without destruction. Instead of deep tilling, consider gentle methods like broad forking, lifting the soil slightly without flipping it. This preserves layers while relieving compaction. In small gardens, even inserting a garden fork and gently rocking it back and forth can create channels without tearing everything apart. Step 4 is mulching. Mulch protects the soil surface from impact. Bare soil is vulnerable. Rain hitting bare soil breaks apart aggregates and seals the surface. Mulch, straw, leaves, wood chips, cushions that impact, retains moisture balance, regulates temperature, and feeds biology as it over time. Mulch becomes organic matter. Step 5 is living roots. Bare soil suffocates faster. Roots are not just nutrient absorbers, they are structural engineers. As roots grow, they create pathways. When they die, those pathways remain as air channels. Cover crops are powerful for this reason. Deep-rooted plants like daikon radish can penetrate compacted layers. Grasses with fibrous roots create dense networks that stabilize soil. Even simple seasonal cover crops between main plantings can dramatically improve structure over a year. Step 6 is patience. Compaction often took years to develop. Restoration also takes time, but the signs of recovery appear sooner than many expect. Earthworms return. Water infiltrates more evenly. Soil becomes crumbly instead of clumpy. Plants begin to grow with more vigor, not because they were force-fed nutrients, but because they can finally breathe. It's important to understand that nutrients are not the primary driver of soil health. They are part of the system, but without structure and oxygen, they cannot function properly. You can pour expensive fertilizer into suffocating soil and see minimal improvement, but improved structure and even modest nutrient levels become far more effective. The most common mistakes that suffocate soil are surprisingly ordinary. Overwatering is one. Constantly wet soil has limited air exchange. Roots in waterlogged soil essentially drown. Another mistake is excessive use of fine-textured amendments like pure peat without balancing materials that improve aggregation. Another is frequent shallow cultivation that breaks surface structure again and again. And perhaps the most underestimated factor is repeated foot traffic. Even a few steps in the same area after rain can create compaction that lingers. If you truly want to test whether your soil is suffocating, try a simple experiment. Dig a small hole about 8 inches deep. Observe the root growth of nearby plants. Are roots evenly distributed and penetrating downward, or are they clustered near the surface? Pour water into the hole and watch how it behaves. Does it drain steadily within minutes, or does it sit stagnant? Smell the soil. Healthy soil smells earthy and rich. Anaerobic soil lacking oxygen, may smell sour or stagnant. These are subtle clues, but they reveal a lot. Soil recovery is not about domination. It's about cooperation. When you stop forcing productivity and start supporting structure, the system begins to regulate itself. Microbes break down organic matter into stable humus. Fungi connect plants in networks that exchange nutrients. Worms aerate continuously without you lifting a tool. Over time, the soil becomes resilient. It resists erosion. It holds water during drought, yet drains during heavy rain. Plants grow deeper roots, making them more resistant to stress. And yields improve not because you chase them, but because you remove the constraint. Many gardeners are surprised to discover that once structure improves, they can reduce fertilizer use significantly. Nutrients already present in the soil become more available because biological processes are active again. Phosphorus becomes more accessible through fungal associations. Nitrogen cycles more efficiently through microbial activity. Potassium moves more freely through improved pore space. It's not magic. It's mechanics. Soil is a dynamic system governed by physics, chemistry, and biology working together. When one element structure collapses, the others cannot compensate indefinitely. So the next time someone says your soil is dead, look closer. Scratch the surface. Test its texture. Observe its behavior with water. Notice the life within it. You may find that what it truly needs is not more input, but more space, more air, more organic matter, less disturbance. The transformation from suffocating soil to breathing soil is not dramatic in a single day. It's gradual, subtle, powerful. A season later, you might notice fewer yellow leaves. A year later, digging becomes easier. 2 years later, you may realize your garden feels different under your feet, softer, springier, alive. That is the feeling of soil that can breathe again. Most gardens don't fail because of bad seeds or lack of effort. They fail because the foundation is compressed. When you fix the breathing, life returns on its own. And once you see soil not as dirt to control, but as a living structure to support, everything changes. You stop asking how to force growth and start asking how to remove obstacles. You stop chasing quick fixes and start building resilience. And in that shift, your soil doesn't just recover, it thrives.